And welcome to the Tuesday, September 10th, 2024 meeting of the Ayer Planning Board. This meeting hearing the Ayer Planning Board will be held in person at the location provided on this notice. Members of the public are welcome to attend this in-person meeting. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation via Zoom is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with particular interest in a specific item on this agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. This meeting will be live on Zoom. The public may access the proceedings by joining Zoom, meeting ID number 833-6548-0732, or by calling 929-205-6099. For additional information about remote participation, please contact Danny Ruiz, Town Planner at druiz@ayer.ma.us or 978-772-8220, extension 144, prior to the meeting. Regarding the agenda, I would like to swap the public hearing, put Stratton Hill first ahead of Scully. This will not delay you because all we have to do is read a letter into the record to move it to next week, and we'll just clear that out of the way. With that in mind, with that suggestion, we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
A second?
Seconded.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Ken?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Nathan?
Aye.
Jeff?
Yes.
And the chair votes aye. Welcome, everybody. Our first item of public business is covenant lot release for Panther Place. Take it away, Danny.
So at the last, maybe 2 public hearings ago, we had given them a covenant lot release for 2 lots on, not Gaskin Way, but on...
Big Circle?
Yes, Briggs Circle. The DPW had suggested to hold off on Gaskin Lane, the 2 lots. They're now coming back for these 2 lots. The DPW did provide a letter saying that they're okay with the release of those 2 lots. So as we're getting closer to the subdivision being completed, eventually we'll be getting to the point where we'll need a bond in place for the rest of the work, but we're not there yet.
Okay, great. I assume that all our board members have a copy and have seen this letter from Dan Van Skalkwyk dated September 4th. Any comments or questions?
Do we have to enter it into, what do we do, just make it and put it on the record?
It is part of the record. If you guys would like to read it into it, you can.
What's the clerk think?
I'm happy to read it if you'd like, Mr. Chair.
It is part of the meeting materials. It's part of the, it's also
And I would
part of the
move
file.
to move to approve the release for lots 1 and 2 of Gaskin Lane, Panther Place subdivision as requested by the proponent.
Second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Ken, how do you vote?
Aye.
Julie?
Yes.
Nathan?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Thank you. So that's for release of 1 and 2 Gaskin Lane. Excellent. Next item on our agenda is Curly Circle bond release, and we have both a memo from DPW, a memo and a letter from DPW.
So there's an email in there where I checked with DPW to see if they were okay with the release of the bond, the final bond. So you have a letter dated July 25th, 2023. That is the bond that was put in place when we did the street acceptance. This is what was being held for the lights, the sign, and dealing with the stormwater that was sort of an issue there. All of those items have been addressed. The lights are up, the sign is up, and the stormwater has been addressed. So the DPW feels that the final bond can be released. It is $24,750. And you have the email from Dan also saying that he was okay with it.
Comments or questions from board members?
If I may, Mr. Chair, I want to say thank you to our town planner because I couldn't remember about this one. It was over a year ago.
Yeah.
And spoke to Danny today. It's like, oh yeah, I remember. This is a decision we made last year. And so
Great.
appreciate that it's gotten taken care of.
Excellent.
That's it.
Yep. Yes.
We're done with wow. I can't believe it. A sense of closure. So do I have a motion to release the last remaining bond funds for Curly Circle, John Carroll Reserve?
So moved.
Seconded.
Seconded by Julie. Ken, how do you vote?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Nathan?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you, everybody. I'd like, the next, well, we need we don't need it, the public hearing's open.
It's already open.
So we just need a continuance after we do this. On the schedule, we were supposed to meet with the applicant today for Stratton Hill, but we received a letter asking us to postpone, and I'll read it into the record, dated September 6, 2024, to the Air Planning Board regarding, from Robert Collins, the attorney representing the applicant, regarding Fox Metal Realty Corporation, Molten Construction Corporation, Stratton Hill Definitive Subdivision, Wright Road. Dear board members, as luck would have it, Frank McPartland and I are both in front of the Groton Conservation Commission on the 10th. I would thus like to request that the hearing be continued to the meeting on September 24th. Kindly also consider this letter as a request that the time by which the board must complete its hearings and file a decision on this matter be extended till October 31st, 2024. Thanking the board for its time and consideration, I remain very truly yours, Robert L. Collins. Do we need a vote to continue? I make a motion to continue the public hearing for Stratton Hill, off Wright Road, map 6, parcels 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 11 through 55, to our next meeting on the 24th.
Seconded.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, Ken?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Nathan?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you. We will continue the public hearing now for 0 Scully Road. If the applicant would approach the table, please. And can we get chairs for the other gentlemen, too, let's make sure? Okay. Danny, I'm going to ask you to take the lead on this and direct us on the steps here.
Yes.
Thank you.
So at our last meeting, we left just to, we wanted a letter or something in writing from Charlie, the building commissioner, on the accessory use and the question about if the business is no longer in use, or how does this all work? So so Charlie provided us with a letter, and so it says, "Good afternoon, Danny. This letter is to follow up our conversation this morning regarding the living/caretaker's quarters at 0 Scully Road. The question being, what happens at the caretaker's quarters if the business fails to exist? Section 5.33C5 allows this set as an accessory use to the primary use. The accessory use, caretaker's quarters, would not be allowed to be occupied if the primary use was not there. In the event that the building is sold for a different use, it would have to be reviewed again to ensure the caretaker's quarters would be allowed as an accessory use to whatever the new primary use would be. It cannot be a single-family home or used for a dwelling unit only, as the building is in an industrial zone."
May I ask, has the applicant seen this note before this meeting?
No, but I did let
You did let him know?
Okay. So basically what that says is, as long as the business is in use and you are either the owner or an employee of that, you can live there. And so what I would suggest to the board would be that a condition in the site plan and in the site plan review approval or decision says that, it basically references that same thing. Well, I think, the biggest question was how do we deal with that portion of it? I know there was some other questions on whether or not this is a caretaker's unit or not, if this is a house, but based on Charlie's interpretation, he does see it as a caretaker's unit.
As long as the primary
As long
use
as
is in play.
Correct.
Okay, and does that, you understand?
Yeah, I certainly do, yeah.
All right, this
And I can see why, that's absolutely.
Okay. And we have some waivers to go through?
Yes. So I will pull those up.
I know it's there, but my eyesight
Yeah.
is terrible.
All right. We have a list of waivers. All right. So the first one is site plan regulations for E2. the vehicular traffic circulation and parking traffic impact statement. It's on the site plan application as 5B. I did actually update that, so the new one is on the website, just so you know.
Okay.
So the request is waive for a traffic impact statement details within the site plan application. Reason expected on-site average daily traffic is limited to the applicant landowner operating the proposed business with 4 service personnels, technicians stopping by to pick up supplies as needed. Proposed business will not generate new traffic, or expected traffic generation is limited to minimal passenger vehicle traffic. Therefore, a traffic impact statement should not be necessary. I'm in agreement with that.
I'm in agreement with it too. I mean, I think that reasoning is sound. Yep. So can we do these, go and...
Yep.
So do I have a motion to approve this waiver?
Move to approve the waiver. Request site plan regulations, I believe that's IV.E.2, vehicular traffic circulation and parking traffic impact statement, site plan application section 5.B.
Thank you, Jeff. A second?
Second.
Thank you, Nathan. Any further discussion?
So this
Hearing
is,
none?
this is
Go
under
ahead.
the site plan regs, right?
Yeah, these are the site plan regs. So 4E2.
And submit requirements. Okay.
No comment or further questions, Ken?
Nope.
All right. How do you vote?
Yes.
Julie? Nathan?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It is waived. We have another waiver.
Okay, so the next one is from site plan regulations for F3, pedestrian and bicycle circulation and safety, site plan application 6C. Waive the bicycle parking requirement for the proposed development. The proposed commercial business generally does not expect to have customers on site, therefore bicycle parking accommodation is not required or necessary. I am in agreement with that.
Again, entirely reasonable. Any discussion or comments? Do I have a motion for the waiver? I'll make the motion. I motion that we waive site plan regulation 4F3, pedestrian bicycle circulation and safety, for the reasons stated above.
Seconded.
Further discussion? Ken, how do you vote?
Aye.
Julie?
Yes.
Nathan?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It is waived.
That was a tough one for me.
It's okay.
He's crying.
Don't want to give up any inches.
All right, the next one is
I'm only kidding.
site plan regulations for F3. This is for photometrics plan for all outdoor lighting. So waive photometrics plan for all outdoor lighting within the site application. Site lighting is limited to the wall-mounted light fixtures that are mounted to the exterior wall of the proposed building with automatic shut-off function. Wall-mounted fixtures shall be dark sky compliant and are only necessary for the parking area at the back of the site. I agree.
Again,
Move to approve the site plan regulation 4.F.3, photometric plans for all outdoor lighting, site plan application section 7.B.
Discussion.
Wait, hold on.
He's got it wrong.
Yes, I just caught that too.
Whoop, we have an error.
Site plan regulations
G,
G.
Two.
2.
Yes.
Photometric plans accepted as a friendly amendment.
We have a second.
Stinking copy and
Seconded.
paste.
For the
Any
better-
further comment or criticism?
I would like to ask a question. if I
Please
may.
lay it on us.
The current site now has trees on the street or not? I don't recall.
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you.
That's it.
Got my
Okay.
question answered. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Ken?
aye.
Julie?
Yes.
Nathan?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye,
Chair votes aye.
and I apologize for missing the
It's
sidewalk
waived.
that day.
Okay.
And a good reason.
This next one is for the stormwater regulations, section 2.10B. Waive the requirement for the project to grant the town of Ayer stormwater management easement for the on-site stormwater management systems. The proposed on-site stormwater management system shall be under the responsibility of the owner and the property in perpetuity, therefore would not require an access easement for the town to perform maintenance. Yes, I'm in agreement with that as well.
Sounds logical to me. Any comments or questions from the board?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Presume that, just like the property we did on, what is it, Third Street?
Yep.
33 Third Street. Wasn't there some ability for the town to inquire or check? I think actually we went through a discussion on making sure that the deed had this responsibility, because it's a rare case.
Yeah, so with this one, this is a stormwater management permit that they'll also have as well. So within that, so at the next meeting, we'll have the decision with all the conditions. It's similar to 33 3rd Street, and those will be laid out there. This was one of the ones that we also waived at 33 3rd Street because, so this is only for projects that are going to be like subdivisions that eventually the town will
Yes.
take over.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
I get all that, but let's say it sells to another equal business, so all of the other approvals go through. Should the deed have instructions that say that the owner is responsible for stormwater management?
I'm going to ask the question, if I may. Maybe you can answer it. They're going to get a stormwater permit, which requires them to be in compliance on an annual, to file compliance on an annual basis.
Okay. Yep.
So it
Okay.
would not be necessarily be on a deed rider because the law may change for.
I see.
But
there is a
where you're
mechanism.
going.
Yes.
There's a mechanism there.
Thank you.
I think that was
Yes.
that was the question I was hearing.
Thank you.
And I think the difference here with 33 3rd Street, those were residential homes, which we typically don't see that. That's why where we don't typically
Oh, there's
see
a
it.
permit because it's a commercial property?
Yeah, so
There's
this is
a
a
stormwater
commercial
permit required.
property.
Thank
So this is where you would have to.
Exactly what I was
Yeah.
driving at.
Yep.
Thank you.
He can't get insurance unless he complies. It's not our problem. I hate to say it that way, Nathan. but-
Thanks.
All right.
Go ahead.
I can't even remember. Do we have a motion on this yet?
We did not.
Okay. I move that we waive the requirement for stormwater regulation sections 210B because, for the reasons stated on the document.
Seconded.
Any further discussion? Ken?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Nathan?
Aye.
Jeff?
Yes.
Chair votes aye. Okay, good. We're done with the waivers.
Yes. All right. I think at this point, open it up to the board to see if there's any follow-up questions that they may have since the last meeting. But I think at this point, we can have, I can get a decision worked up for the next meeting. And get
Is
it.
the applicant aware of this?
And I
Okay.
would send it out to the applicant and for them to review, get us any comments back, and then that way at the next meeting, we already have the waivers voted on. We will have all the conditions, and we can just go through any of the special conditions for the
Okay.
stormwater.
Does that sound reasonable?
Yes.
Totally reasonable. And I just want to, just for the record, I just want to mention that because we do have a site walk this coming Saturday morning.
I know, I was confused with that.
It was national.
I'm sorry, I missed the National Grid one. I'm sorry. Yes.
So we do have the scheduled site walk for this Saturday, but I did receive an email from Heather, the Concom agent, earlier this morning regarding a site walk to review the delineated wetland line. So I believe we're trying to schedule another site walk between Heather and Matt, the wetland scientist, to actually go out to review the line. If there's any sort of changes with the delineated line, obviously we'll send out a survey crew to get that updated. I don't believe it should affect the plan very much, but we'll just update it accordingly. And if there is something that's an issue that'll stand out, I'll try to reach out to Danny to kind of carry that conversation forward. The only other thing that's worth mentioning is that I believe Monday morning we finally received the template for the fire truck turning.
Oh, and how'd that go?
To be honest, I haven't had a chance to build the truck to do a turning analysis on it. We didn't have enough time.
Okay.
So that is coming. I believe that Paul is more or less okay with providing a turnaround area. Not knowing what the dimension of the truck will be, I think it's reasonable that, if we need to provide a turnaround for the driveway that comes down, it might sticks out a little bit more. It's a minor modification to the driveway that comes down. A little bit more increase in pervious area. I'm just wondering, does the board feel that is that a minor modification enough where we can have it viewed without approval, or is this something that we need to kind of discuss?
I would say, I mean, if you could get that to me before the next meeting.
That would be, I think,
I can review it, and I can talk to Matt.
That's key.
And the fire department, and just make sure they're all set.
Yeah, I'll try to get it to you guys this week, really. We just hadn't had time. It's just,
gotcha. So is there anything left to do with this other than continue the public hearing?
Move to continue. I'm sorry.
Oh, I do.
Yeah, Nathan.
Question.
Yeah, please.
And this is, probably Jeff is actually the resident expert for my question, and you might, you can defer it to or ignore it. The question, we discussed the difference between, this idea of having a caretaker's residence on this property. And I'm just curious if the taxes on a property are more than the equivalent of an equal-sized property and home, right? Is the town going to, and is the applicant going to pay more taxes because it's a commercial property with this caretaker's residence than it would be if it were
Just a residence?
just a residence?
Only double.
Yeah,
About double.
Yeah.
commercial's taxed at a different.
So-
Actually, industrial, I think we're calling
It's
it.
That's industrial, you're right, yeah.
It-
Okay, that's,
I'm happy to take up outside of this, but residential and industrial tax very differently at different rates. And you're gonna find it strange that the building probably isn't taxed as high as you think it is, but all of the stuff in the building
all the parts,
is
yeah.
taxed very high.
Yeah.
So that's how it works.
okay. I mean, that is, I find that this, the cost, I guess, of having a home and business, or a caretaking residence and business together.
Any further comment? Jeff, you want to do the honors?
Move to continue the public hearing for Zero Scully Road, map 33, parcel 3, to the September 24th planning board meeting.
Seconded.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Ken?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Nathan?
Aye.
Jeff?
Yes.
Chair votes aye. Thank you very much. Please get the amendments to the site plans as necessary, and Danny will get the decision written up, and hopefully we'll seal this, sign, seal, deliver next time.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you
Thanks very much.
Saturday at 8.
Walk on this Saturday?
8 o'clock.
All right.
8 o'clock?
Looking forward to it. And you'll let us know if it's changed.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
So what you
I have many other ways I'd rather spend the Saturday morning
Yes.
alone on a site that.
Yes,
no one's
that's
going
the conservation one that you guys.
So conservation, didn't you just say conservation won't be there?
No. So Friday.
They confirmed it.
Friday they're gonna do a walk with the wetland scientist
Oh, okay.
and
They're
Heather.
gonna do two then.
Be doing the delineation. Saturday, conservation is having a site walk that they invited you to.
Can I just ask that it's a text or a call if it's canceled?
Yeah, I will.
Because I won't check I know I'm
No.
not gonna-
I
might
will.
think of
I'll
it,
text
but-
you if it's canceled.
But you're right, that's
So
something
I
a
would
little
assume, but I
uneasy.
would assume that yes, it is on,
sounded-
because Heather, based on what I know, Heather and conservation said that it was on.
Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't understand. I couldn't hear them. I'll talk. The machine kicked on.
I know the machine did kick on, so I know.
And we need a motion to open up the public hearing for the proposed zoning amendments, right?
So moved.
Do you want to read the article?
Yes, so let me read into the record the public hearing notice. Public hearing notices for the proposed zoning bylaw amendments pursuant to Mass General Law, Section 40A, subsection 5, the Air Planning Board will hold a public hearing at 6:15 PM on Tuesday, September 10th, 2024 at the Air Town Hall, 1 Main Street, Air, Massachusetts, for the planning board to vote on recommending the following zoning bylaw amendments to the October 28th, 2024 fall meeting. To see if the town will vote to approve the revised Town of Air zoning map showing the addition of the MBTA multifamily overlay district or take any other action relative thereto. To see if the town will vote to approve the amendments to subsection 320-2.0 definitions or take any other action relative thereto. Affordable housing, a dwelling unit that is affordable for purchase or rent by a low or moderate income household. Each affordable housing unit shall be eligible for inclusion in the Chapter 40B subsidized housing inventory in accordance with the regulations and policies of the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities in effect on the date of the applicant's submission to the planning board. Air Affordable Housing Trust. The purpose of the Air Affordable Housing Trust, the Trust, is to provide for the creation and preservation of affordable housing in Air for the benefit of low and moderate income households and for the funding of community housing as defined in and in accordance with the provisions of General Law, Chapter 44B. The trust shall be governed by a Board of Trustees, the Board, in accordance with General Law, Section 44, subsection 55C, is amended from time to time, and the authority granted by town meeting. The trust was unanimously approved at fall town meeting, October 26, 2020, with funding from the Community Preservation Fund, and the respective bylaws unanimously approved during the spring town meeting on April 26, 2021. Is there something I need to correct here? No. Okay. The Air Affordable Housing Committee will support the Air Affordable Housing Trust in the development of review of possible projects and programs. To see if the town will vote to approve the addition of a new subsection 320-8.7 MBTA multifamily overlay district bylaw or take any other action relative thereto. To see if the town will vote to approve the amendments to rewrite the entire subsection 320-10.3 inclusionary housing or take any other action relative thereto. The full text of the proposed article can be found on the Town of Air website at https://www.air.ma.us/planning-board/pages/proposals-fall-town-meeting-2024, and paper copies can be obtained at the Town Clerk's office or at the Air Planning Department and Air Town Hall during normal business hours, as advertised August 27th, 2024 and September 3rd, 2024 in the Lowell Sun.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
I am going to bring up something and hopefully not open a can of worms. The official name of the town meeting for the town of Ayer is the special fall town meetings. So I would ask to include the word special. Okay. And it says, and the authority approved at, it says at the fall town meeting.
It should be
That's
fall
a
special.
that's a definition that was already written.
Okay.
But I can add that.
I don't want to open a can of worms here.
Yeah, I don't think
but
it's a can of worms.
Our bylaw calls
it a
it a special fall town meeting. It's a weird thing, but.
Yep, that's an easy fix.
Yeah,
It's just a definition.
I just want to. I don't want it to get all the way to the finish line.
And Nathan, I mean, and Ken also has had another catch that he saw in there, which I will fix as well.
This is why we're here. I just don't want it to get to the finish line
Yep.
and have somebody at the registry say,
Yep. Okay.
or at the Secretary of State's office.
Okay.
Well, what about the, further on, it notes that the respective bylaws were unanimously approved during the spring town meeting. I thought it was just called the annual town meeting.
You may please check that.
I'll check on that.
I'm not going to push back on it. We refer to them as fall and spring.
This was approved by when you guys did the trust, so this was already approved. This is just language that I took out of your trust.
And I just know that it's special fall, Ken, because
But
it's
that's
coming
why
up and I've been
that's why we
reading
have
the
this
bylaw
hearing,
again.
so we can play around with it again.
Yeah, so I mean, I can make those changes if you want, but this is what was approved at those town meetings.
I don't
I mean, I'd call it whatever you
Yeah.
think is the best name for it, whatever.
I do know that the fall's called the special fall town meeting.
Yep.
That's all. And there's a thread on the Mass Moderators Association about calling it the right thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Because somebody will have a bad day at the Secretary of State's office and send it back.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll call that special, and then I'll look. I think you might be right. It is. I think it's called the annual town
think it's called
meeting.
the annual.
I think it is, but I'll double check on that one.
Ooh, I can figure it out the same way I figured it out.
Oh, Janet wrote
Thank
it.
you.
And I'll fix it on the website too.
Let's see, Janet must have wrote it up.
So, give us where are we going? Tell us how this is going to work.
So we formally opened the public hearing on this. So I'm going to give the same presentation I gave to the select board, and then at that point, open it up to the board for discussion and how the board sees fit. Okay.
Danny, is
Yes.
this the presentation you'll give at town meeting?
Yes. Yes. So so there were some additional comments that the select board gave me that don't really have to do with this presentation, but have to do with extra material that they think would be helpful, which was the to show what parts of this bylaw of the MBTA fall under site plan, have similar stuff to site plan review, just to show a comparison so people understand that this is still, the MBTA is still going to have a review. So that was really the only comment that came out of that. All right. I know I've given this presentation several times, and most of you guys have all heard about this. So, but I'm going to give it again, abbreviated, just because I've already done this multiple times. This is up on the website. This is readily accessible to anybody, and I will also be giving this at town meeting as well.
Janet does this to us all the time.
Okay, so the first section we're going to be discussing is 10.3, which is the new proposed inclusionary housing bylaw.
Proposed inclusionary housing bylaw, okay.
And-
You're gonna do that ahead of the mod.
Yes, yep. I'm just going to go by how I have it in the slide.
That's fine.
I gave everyone a printout of the inclusionary housing bylaw that has comments from town council that I think will be good for us to discuss after my presentation. There really wasn't much that came out of the comments from either of these, from either of the bylaw reviews from town council. At least there weren't a lot of big comments, but there was, in the MBTA, there was a little bit more. All right. So 10.3.2 is the applicability. So the requirement of this section 10.3 shall apply to any residential development or mixed-use development in a single structure or multiple structures resulting in a net increase of 5 or more dwelling units on any parcel or contiguous parcel comprising of the proposed.
The copy I have this is 10.33. Applicability, 10.33.
Yeah, mine does too.
Yes, so you're right. This didn't show the revisions that I made after. So this is, the definition section is going to be all removed. So everything's going to go up one. So it's going to go 10.32, 10.34.
Okay, so we're supposed to magically know that before we got this handout?
I didn't, it slipped my mind. But that's why I have to be moved to section 2.0. But yes.
I just want to make the comment that what's novel here and different is that it's any residential development and mixed-use development, not just restricted to subdivisions.
Correct.
This is a very significant change in this section here. Is that correct?
That is correct. And so one of the comments that she did put in here, so on the definitions also will have to change in the definition over here, so.
Okay.
But we'll get to that. So yes, so this would trigger on any project that has a net increase of 5 or more dwelling units. So residential or mixed use and any parcel or contiguous parcels. So if they're owned by, by the same company or same owner, they will, it's gonna be triggered right
Like
here.
the auto A&Rs on 2A.
Correct. Or another, like, so DMG, because that was on multiple parcels technically.
Interesting, that's right.
So it's kind of like those kind of scenarios. The second one is a finding or special permit or variance from the zoning board of appeals or planning board that results in a net increase of 5 or more dwelling units, whether by new construction or by alteration, expansion, reconstruction, or change of existing residential or non-residential structure or space, whether on one or more contiguous parcels comprising of a proposed development site. So this would be, here's an example, is the firehouse that had a special permit for it to go from a existing structure, the firehouse, to a residential. So it's a special permit. That's where something would be triggered here for that. And they had 5 units over there, which would be a net increase of 5 because there were no units in there.
Got it.
The next one is a division of land, including but not limited to the divisions as a result of Mass General Law 41, sections 81K to 81G, and which is subdivision control law, and Mass General Law Chapter 41, 81P, which is approval not requires. For residential development or mixed-use developments that result in a net increase of 5 or more dwelling units on any parcel or contiguous parcels comprised of the proposed development site. So this would be triggered on if Shaker Road, that's, those 9 A&R lots that they did there, that would be a trigger, as well as if they did some sort of a subdivision as well, we would have it triggered on there. So like Curly Circle would be, or Panther Place.
Just for clarification for the town meeting and the public who may not break down this, we're basically saying anywhere you try to build 5 or more units in town, you're gonna start this, it's gonna result in the inclusionary housing.
Yes.
And
Section kicking in,
And yes, and the.
or
piece-
mixed use, excuse me.
And the piece that may be unclear to people, 5 dwelling units, a building with 5 units in it, 5 individual 1-unit buildings.
Right.
A 2-unit and a 3-unit building.
Right.
Anything that makes up 5 or more.
Exactly.
So
Taking away the big thing we had before, which was only the condition where it was a multifamily dwelling.
Yeah.
Multifamily.
That was the
5.
big deal, yeah.
So, and that was I think the biggest issue I saw in the previous bylaw is it's hard to trigger that unless you're doing a DMG style project. On that one, definitively it's going to trigger.
Yeah.
But if you're doing a project like multiple duplexes or some triplexes, it wouldn't trigger because it's not a multifamily of 5 or more.
Right, got it. Thank you.
Stratton Hill.
So Stratton Hill has applied, they've already froze their zoning when they did their subdivision, but if you were to think about it as an example,
It was
yeah,
moved
it could, yes.
Okay.
But they were approved in 2005, so.
But they're also, I think there are still providing 2
So they're
units.
using 2005 zoning?
Yes, no, they submitted May
Down to the OSRD.
2023.
23.
So that's when the zone is frozen for,
Exactly.
well, it's frozen, I'm not
Not
listening.
there tonight.
It's in place.
It's in play.
Yeah.
They don't, it's not applicable to them.
Yes.
One of the
it's
reasons
not
why we think they came forward in
Yes.
23.
Okay.
So the requirement, which is section 10.33, which is shown as 10.34 on yours, it says that in any development subject to this section 10.3, at least 10% of the dwelling units shall be affordable housing. Fractions of 0.5 or more shall be rounded up to the next whole number. And fractions less than 0.5 shall be rounded down to the next whole number. All right, so methods of providing affordable units. So on this one, it's 10.35, which is, this is going to be the correct numbering. On this one that you have before you is 10.36. So for any development that's subject to this section 10.3, the following shall apply. On-site units, construction of affordable units on-site of the project is preferred approach to create affordable housing and shall be required for any development that includes 20 or more dwelling units. However, on-site affordable units shall not be required in any development that includes 19 or fewer dwelling units. On-site affordable rental units shall be required, and bonus units do not count towards this section. So basically what this says is, so for on-site units, if you have a project that's 20 units or more, you'd be required to provide the affordable units on-site. If you have less than, so if you have 19 or fewer, you're not required to provide them on-site. The caveat to this is if they're rental units. So if they're rental units, you will be required to provide them on-site. And so,
See,
yep,
sorry, I think I might have brought this up before.
yes, that's all. But yeah,
You want to keep?
no, we have to. It's the public hearing.
So on-site affordable rental units shall be required.
Yep.
So this is where I mentioned before that I thought it should say required on-site, not required. You think it should just stay required?
No, I agree with you on-site.
Oh, well, then we have to add the words on-site.
But it says it at the beginning of the sentence.
Yeah, it doesn't really. It talks about
On-site units. This is under the on-site units.
On-site units, period.
preferred approach, affordable units shall be required for any development that includes 20 more units. However, on-site affordable units shall not be required, but if it's less than 19, it's still, and apartments, it's still required on-site. Is that what
Yeah,
you're
so
saying?
on-site affordable rental units
tricky.
shall be required. So on-site, it's right there.
Let's say you build 15 on-site. What do you, in their rental units?
In the rental units, you're required.
They're required to be on-site.
Yeah. because they're rental units, and we really want the rental units to be a part of it. If they were not, if they were market
I'm
rate,
trying to just figure if people understand that language, that's all.
well, that's what I think, like, having the
Got it.
on-site.
Yeah, sorry, Danny, you
Yep, no.
finished your thought.
I was just gonna say, so the on-site affordable rental units, I think that kind of,
Okay, got it.
Do you want, Ken, am I hearing, I heard it as the word on-site multiple times, but
Yeah.
I'm wondering, are you asking, should it say on-site affordable, on-site affordable rental units of any number? No,
I think.
What are you trying to say?
I think what he wanted was
On-site affordable rental units shall be required on-site.
on-site. I think he wants the on-site twice.
That's what I thought I heard
I
the
think I
first
want,
time.
actually, maybe I just want the on-site at the end, now that I see it
Oh,
again.
okay.
Yeah, that's
Maybe
fine.
it should be affordable rental units shall be required on-site.
Yes.
Because the on-site
So
affordable
if
rental
we do
unit
it-
sounds like a weird.
Okay.
I
Description.
agree with,
Even at
the
any
English
number.
language doesn't lend itself properly
Apparently it's
sometimes
any number.
to bylaws. It doesn't.
Well, if you build it, I guess what,
Any number of affordable rental units shall be required to have on-site
projects,
affordable units.
projects
Somebody
within.
Okay,
wordsmith
so,
that.
Developments, developments with,
Think about how long it took us to
Any
get dwelling
number
units
is
figured
the-
out.
developments with any number of
Of
affordable
affordable,
rental units
Of
shall
rental
be
units.
required on-site. No,
no, you
just
messed
don't
that
don't
up.
need the development part, just,
Daniel figured.
I'm gonna put the development part just to be,
Okay.
any development with
Any
affordable
number
rental units.
is what I was hearing.
The rental units shall be required on-site.
I would be surprised
that.
if we had somebody who would fight that, but you know, hey.
Well, if we're gonna be this specific, we might as well be Ken's specialty.
I don't know, it just didn't seem clear when I read that
Just
sentence.
remember, there are 3,000 pages of regulations in Boston right now for zoning.
I'm only here for it. I mean, really.
Writing
I
more
can't help the
than
rest
others,
of
but yeah.
okay, so what I have, instead of the sentence we have of on-site affordable rental units shall be required, it'll say, any development with rental units, the affordable units shall be required on-site.
There you go.
Seems pretty clear to
Any
me now.
number of rental units. So even if you have like a complex where like 2 are rental units and 8 are sold.
That is a great question.
Because now you're in
Well, it still applies.
a weird sort of a
Rental units have
math
to be on-site.
scenario.
Still makes sense.
You got 10 units, you gotta put some rentals in there, they gotta be on site.
Well, so this is where, so that occasion,
That's a
I
bona fide.
don't think you can do that under the state law, because then you're basically saying the 2 affordable units are gonna be the rental,
No,
right?
no, you can decide if you're gonna have 10 units that look exactly the same. You
Yeah.
can sell 8 of them and rent 2 of them, I think.
How do you condo that?
Yeah, I don't know
They're
how
all
you-
condos.
Yeah, I don't know how you,
It
You
couldn't
can
exist.
call 2 of them as a condo, but,
Then you rent them.
the owners, and rent them, but they're not rental, but they're condo
The
units.
condo units, yeah.
So they're for sale units.
yeah, that's what.
Right, because somebody has
They may be,
to.
they
the
may be
question may not
affordable
apply.
units. In
Yeah.
other words, they go into
Yeah.
managed by a housing trust and you can't sell them for a profit, they keep selling.
Yeah, so I don't know if I've ever run into a situation in which, some of them are rental, some of them, like when they initially go into the project, when they, where some are rental, some are.
If I may, I managed 2 projects that had, the majority of the units, I can't remember the numbers, they were 6-story high buildings, were residential, but they fronted onto commercial streets, and each one of the buildings had four rent commercial units on the first floor. They were not sold as condos, they were owned by the associations, and they were seen as a source of income, but they were commercial rental, not residential rental. I don't know, my experience doesn't go far enough to know if that ever existed.
I've never seen.
But that's it's a real hybrid one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Tidewater rental in Salisbury?
Tidewater.
There's 20
No, I believe it's
20
owner.
okay.
It's market rate.
Okay.
It's all owner. Yeah, I don't believe it's rental.
The owners might rent them.
You're
but
talking, yeah, because Tidewater on B, that's a big development.
There's 26 units that are affordable in that.
There's 26 that are affordable. Yeah, I think they're all market rate because I don't believe
They're all
rental.
condos. Okay.
Yeah, they're all condos. for sale.
We may not run into that circumstance.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of an occasion which, like, as a developer, why you would do that.
Yeah, because I used to have to collect rents. I hated that part.
Yeah, because most developers, I mean, in my opinion, but that is a great question. Like, I don't know if I can, but like,
I'm wondering.
it's a difficult one.
You know,
I don't know how you could address that.
I'm willing to bet the legal eagles who know this would know it right off the top of the head. Allowed or not allowed for this reason?
If it
That's a great question.
comes in at whatever the number is, 10%. So you've got 10 units, which you're gonna, end up,
So one of them is going to be affordable,
one has to be affordable.
but this is where, so it would have to be the market rate, right?
So it would have to be affordable as a sale unit under the state guidelines for buying it, right? Whatever that number is.
Yeah, because you'd have to do a lot of.
Doesn't necessarily have to be a rental unit. Could be
Yeah.
for sale under,
But I guess because I don't think a developer would do that and make the rental as the affordable, because then you're getting into the state law of, well, because it's the rental and all the rest are market rate, you're designating it almost like this is the affordable unit, and you can't
Right.
do that.
And in many condominium associations,
They don't
people
want to.
don't know
Yes,
which other units are affordable.
are not supposed to.
So I think
figure it out.
I think our the way ours is written, the new proposed sentence will work better. I think Ken did bring it up at the last time, but I felt like we should do that here.
Okay.
So the planning board and or the zoning board of appeals, as applicable, may approve one or both of the following methods alone or in combination, and no event shall the total number of units provided through such methods be less than the number of affordable housing units required under section 320-10.3.4.
Is that the right number?
Yes. So one thing I just want to, before we move on, so in your copy that I gave you, town council did have a couple comments where it talks about, she says, will this ever apply to the zoning board, and where is there an occasion that the zoning board would be the permit granting authority?
The zoning board of appeals.
So, yes, the zoning board of appeals.
Yeah.
I'm having trouble finding an actual occasion in which the zoning board of appeals would be the permit granting authority, because any project would still technically have to come back to planning board for site plan review. The only occasion I can see the zoning board being the permit granting authority in essence is if they is the special permit to allow a structure that's not residential being transformed into a residential structure, because that goes before the zoning board as a special
Change of
permit.
use. But you change the use and they get a variance.
Yeah. So it's a special permit.
Special permit.
Yeah.
So that's the one occasion where I could see the zoning board saying, "Oh, you trigger you trigger the inclusionary housing bylaw. You have to go. I mean, you still have to apply. You still have to do the affordable units, but technically, they're still coming to us for site plan review. So I think there's might be an occasion." So where I think we might be able to just delete the zoning board of appeals in this section, in these sections, except for in the applicability section.
So that's what she's recommending, pretty much.
It's not necessarily what she's recommending, it's a question.
Yeah, if I may. I believe this stems from, this comes out of many towns use the zoning board of appeals as the first stop for people to do affordable housing.
Yes.
The zoning board of appeals has much greater latitude in what they can do, and they became the gatekeepers for allow it or not allow it. And there's still 17 communities in Massachusetts that fall in that category. And so I think that's probably what they saw is remove the zoning board of appeals from approving of the use of a of affordable versus not affordable. Not changing use from commercial to residential, but what's the residential use going to be? Oh, we'll stop it here. I believe that's what's been going on.
So I think,
what triggers
I think
the
to
conversation.
clean this up, the best would be to remove the zoning board of appeals section, references in here, except for in the applicability.
And
For right here, where we're talking about the finding, a finding, a special permit or variance.
Okay.
Because
So
that's-
This kind of gets it going over here in applicability, is what you're
In
saying.
the
It doesn't need to
applicability,
be,
doesn't need to be in the rest of the document.
got it.
So a change of use for a property would still have to go to ZBA. And whether they did it or not, that's outside of our purview.
Well, a change of use depending on if it's a special permit from them or if they're coming to us as a site plan review change of use. Because there's two different types of change.
I understand, but the one that stops at ZBA.
Yes. They're still going to be the permit.
But we understand that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And that's why I think
Yeah.
that's going to be the best way to clarify this.
All right.
I just have one more follow-up to Jonathan's question, which was regarding 320-1034. Is it now 1033?
Yes, yeah. You're right. So on the, when I have this all updated, when I update it on that section, it's also updated in mine and over here.
So that will say 10.3.
It'll
Say 3.3?
10.33.
Okay, so
By
what
three.
do you know? I got one right.
So I'm gonna have to have like a final revision for this, on this.
Okay.
Because that also, and then the final revision will also go to town council addressing her final comments, that whatever the board, figures out for these comments. All right, so these are the two different, so you could either do one of these or a combination. So a housing contribution payment to the Ayer Affordable Housing Trust determined in accordance with section 320-10.37 or any development with at least five but not more than 19 dwelling units. So this is going to reference the payment in lieu chart that will be on the next slide that is within the bylaw.
May I ask?
Yep.
Excuse me to interrupt you.
It's going to become 6, right?
For any development with at least 5 but not more than 19 dwelling units, not including bonus
So the
units.
digit has to
Yes.
become 6.
Correct.
So that's clear? So if they come to us, OSRD,
Yep.
they give us a space we want, we give them 5 bonus units, they still only have to give us 10% of the original 19.
Yeah, so bonus units do not count
Yep.
towards this
I just want to reiterate that now.
Yep.
We got off the trail.
And that's 10.3.6, by the way. And Kathleen has a
Kathleen,
question.
sorry.
Yeah, can I ask a question about 10.3.7?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was a little bit confused by the wording of C2, I guess, which is the process for the payment.
Yes.
Because when it says it shall be divided by the total number of market rate units. So my understanding, just like a hypothetical, and you can check if I'm understanding this correctly, is so say you have a development that is going to do 2 payments in lieu.
Yep.
And they have a number of houses that are being sold.
So, sorry, just, I don't want to interrupt you,
Yeah.
but, so,
Is that
the way it
impossible?
would work is if you're going to do, let's use this as an example, if you're going to do 15 units, if you choose not to do the on-site, then you're going to do a payment in lieu for every market rate unit.
Okay, that's fine. So then if you're going to do a payment in lieu for every unit, the payment in lieu is set at the closing of every, right? So it's not set prior. So like some of those may sell for $5.99. That's in one bracket. They sell for $6.05. That's
Yep.
now in another
Exactly.
bracket. Okay.
Yes.
So when you're saying the total amount shall be divided by the total number of market rate units, the total amount refers to like the gross payment in lieu,
Yes.
as opposed to these prices in the table.
Yeah, so the total amount is the gross
Okay.
payment in lieu. The total amount of how much you're paying off of each market rate unit. That's the total amount that you're referencing in there.
But I think reading between the lines, since she's a mathematician, we won't, based on your thesis, we will not have that total amount at the beginning, therefore we can't divide it by the total number of units. Unless we negotiate at the beginning.
No,
that total.
you're right.
No, she's
Yeah,
right.
that's what I'm getting.
You're correct. So maybe we do need to reword that.
Because this is what I'm like. when you keep referring to this total amount due,
Yeah.
that is not known until like
Until
the
the-
literal last
Yep, until the closing.
unit is sold.
Yep. So maybe, we should look at that now. So, okay, so the total amount due shall be paid upon the release of any lots, or in the case, so maybe I need to be more specific on that section. So the payment in lieu due for that unit.
I've got a potential solution, although I've looked at this before.
Okay.
See what everybody thinks of this. So couldn't we anticipate this by saying the total amount due for the project will be negotiated with the planning board before the start of the project?
But then you miss
Based on
out
the table. So if you tell
on
us.
the market.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say.
I'm not here to
You
do
miss,
that.
you miss out on the market.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
You don't,
so-
you don't want them to tell us what they're gonna sell it. at.
There's two things.
I don't want to sit here and
Yeah.
decide yay or nay about whether I think that's the price this
Yeah.
house will sell at. And they change things, I mean, the
They're not gonna know.
mailboxes
They're
of
not-
Hickory Hill didn't go in. Like, it's gonna change the whole value of the unit based on how they actually build. I mean, you show me all the time. They don't always build what they
I know
say
that.
they're
That's
gonna
why I
build.
think it's gonna change, that's why I think it might be an impossible task to do what this says.
Yeah, so that's why I
It might be
think,
easier to just come up with a number that we agree on. They're 500 grand a unit, there's 15 units, that's the number. And then you divide it out and pay us as you go.
I think the way,
Otherwise, it doesn't escalate, of course.
no, I think the best way to do it,
You do it every
in
single
my
day.
opinion, is, the way it works is, I need to clean this up and say that the payment in lieu is due, for each market rate unit is due at the closing of that market rate unit.
Make
End
it
of story.
specific
And
on
just-
per,
yeah, that's it.
It's the end of the story, and it
That's
cleans it
So
all
whatever
up.
that goes at and sells at, boom.
Because if you
Based on the
recall,
closing, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's based on the closing.
if you recall,
That's the fairest.
West Main Street, there were two sticking items: size of unit, and they didn't want to discuss what their finances were with us,
Yeah, well,
which is okay. You don't want, they don't want to. So we end up in a negotiation with somebody who doesn't want to give us the cards. I like
well, that's the way it
at
should.
closing for each individual, and I think that's a great catch, and I think that's at the closing of the unit. We can assume we'll get some money, we can figure out what we're gonna get, but market may go up, market may go down, or the market may demand a totally different type of unit, and they may change the way they're building, and it changes the value.
It's the fairest.
That's out of our
Yeah.
control.
And that's what basically the first one is. And when the second one is the one that Kathleen says doesn't really work, which I now that I think about it, I agree with you. And you and Ken both, I agree that number 2 does not work. So it's number 1 would be, the total amount, I can change that to say, the payment in lieu shall be paid upon the release of any lots or lot in the case of the development other than a subdivision upon the issuance of the first building permit. We can get rid of that and say, upon the closing of the unit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Each.
Closing of each individual
Yes.
unit. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Right,
think
at
you
each
want
unit
that
closing.
individual of
Yeah.
each,
Each unit closing.
because
So, okay, so the title.
Passing of papers.
The money thing is tricky.
Would you please use, when each unit goes to record?
When what? When it goes to record, once it gets
When
recorded.
it goes to recorded, please. Closing includes lots of things, guys.
Yeah. No, what if I
But it's when
incentivize
it
it
goes
at
to
closing?
record. Huh?
What if the developer incentivizes the closing by paying closing costs and stuff like that, then fools around with the number?
Small amount of money.
What's gonna happen?
Small amount of money.
What if I give you a $25,000 bonus to buy it? So that your price goes,
It's still going to have a sale price at the
gonna
closing.
have a number, we'd have to get to the number.
It's gonna have, is he going to give away 25 grand to save a few $1,000s on his payment in lieu? Probably not.
So the payment in lieu shall be paid upon the.
In this market, nobody's giving away money at closings.
How about the transfer of deed?
Yeah, recording a transfer of deed, yeah.
We just scratched number 2, right?
Yeah, we're scratching number 2, but
Altogether,
I need
it doesn't make sense.
to, I need to rewrite 1. So the payment in lieu shall be paid upon the release of any lots, or in the case of a development other than a subdivision, upon the closing,
Recording the deed.
or
Either one, I mean, it's a subdivision or not, it's unit by unit.
Exactly.
Doesn't have to be a subdivision. It could be a A&R lot thing. It could be a multi-unit building.
Bunch of condos.
It's tricky. The total amount due shall be paid upon the unit, dwelling unit. You gotta have dwelling unit in there. It's not a lot, right?
So the payment in lieu shall be paid upon the release of any,
Unless you want two of them, and the first one just applies to lots, and the second one applies to the build. No, you can't do it on a lot, because there's no house on the lot.
Nope.
There's no value there.
And if there's a condo, there's no lot value, it's all in the building.
so the payment in lieu shall be paid upon the,
Recording of the transaction.
According to the transaction for the dwelling unit.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about dwelling units.
For, yeah, for the dwelling unit's
On
important because some applicants come to us to get an approval for a site plan and then they sell that.
Yeah.
And that
Oh, yeah,
deed would get
absolutely.
recorded, right?
yep,
Right, but
dwelling.
we're talking about
But
selling units.
there's no payment in lieu.
It wouldn't trigger a payment of the
So on the recording of the dwelling unit?
Sorry.
No, this is good that,
This has to be right. So
yeah, this has to be right.
Total amount of due shall be.
So the payment in lieu shall be paid upon the recording of the dwelling unit,
According to the sale of the dwelling unit,
recording of the sale
based on the closing price of the
of
dwelling,
the dwelling.
something like that?
Yeah. We say closing, but it's the actual physical recording of the deed.
Yeah.
Transfer, yeah.
Transfer is the key word there, because it's when it.
So recording of the sale of the transfer, no.
Recording the transfer of the deed.
Recording of the transfer of the deed. Recording of the,
So if a guy builds an apartment building, he never,
deed.
doesn't have to transfer the deed for each unit, he's gonna own the whole building.
But if it's all rental, we're covered under rental units.
No, I think what he's saying, what if it's an apartment building like it's a
Oh, a block.
DMG
Yeah.
and they're selling the units, market rate.
Well, that gets recorded, unit by
That's a
unit.
that's a transfer.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
if they,
If it's rental,
okay, so
They're
in the
rental.
rentals, they're gonna give us the
they're
units.
automatically giving us the rental.
If it's under 20,
It's only the option
No,
where you don't
rental
give us the
units, for
unit.
rental units, if you have more, if you have, it's,
Five or
if you have
more.
more than 5 units, you have to provide them on site.
Okay, so that takes care of that. So this is primarily for single-family homes, two-family homes, condo, six in a building,
yeah.
something like that.
You know, a triplex.
What about condos?
So
Like
we'll
a
have
couple
closing
triplexes.
Unit
like-
by unit.
Yeah.
But not co-op.
Okay, so number 2 we scratch, and then I don't think we need 3 then.
Now, did we skip over,
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did. I
we
just
kind of jumped ahead. I just
did
want to make
start-
sure.
No, that's
Asked
okay.
about
We
the
just started talking about that,
10.37.
so I figured let's just give it. Let's get that done.
I think we're on B2.
So this ends up
offsite
being
units.
1036, right? This section.
Yeah. So offsite units. Offsite units or comparable units on another site in Ayer. Offsite units need to be located in the same district.
not.
As the need not be located in the same district as the development. The approved location of the offsite affordable housing units shall be identified in the applicable board's decision. Preservation of existing dwelling units for affordable housing may be accomplished by purchasing deed restrictions and providing funds for capital improvements to create housing with equal or greater value of as new construction units. This is in there. It's a rare occasion in which you'll see this. And there's the affordable housing and the planning board will be working, you know, in tandem together on this. You don't really see offsite units very often. I've never done them before. I know Alicia has had an occasion in which for the Moulton project up in Groton, they did one on Westford Road.
Yep.
9 units up there. So they did it on a separate piece of land. It's rare that you see those, but there is in the occasion. But that's not something that's something that the board would discuss with the applicant, and then you'd get input from the affordable housing and all that.
Yep.
So housing contribution payments in lieu for on-site units.
That's what we just did.
Yes, but I'm just going to go through the actual chart now.
You don't have to do the language, approval, amount.
So I didn't put that on there, but
Okay, that's fine.
because I
wanna know
felt
if there's a reason.
But we can, if you would like
Nope.
to go through it,
I just-
because it's basically the same as the applicability.
Okay,
Okay. And yeah. So the next section underneath that, which is B, the amount, which just tells you where each, the amounts you'd be paying. So for $400,000 or less, it's $10,000 flat fee. 401 to 600,000, it's 2.5% sale price. If it's 601 to 800,000, it's 3% sale price. 801 more, and it's 3.5% of the sale price. And I have some breakdowns of what the estimated cost would be at even numbers.
And then you're gonna show us whatever the rewriting of that method of payment ends up being.
Yep, exactly. So the density bonus. So the planning board or the zoning board of appeals, as applicable, may grant the special permit to adjust the requirements for section 10.3 as follows: to award the density bonus for the development that includes more than a minimum number of affordable units required under section 10.33. If the affordable units are provided on site, for each additional affordable unit over and above the minimum, the board may approve 3 additional market rate units up to a maximum density bonus of 75%. For example, for a development with 10 housing units, compliance with this section 10.3 would require 1 affordable unit. The applicant who agrees to provide 2 more affordable units on site may request an additional 6 market rate units. 3 per additional affordable unit, bringing the total development to 18 units.
so it's 3.3, not 3.4 again, right?
The applicant waives the payment in lieu if he chooses to provide the additional affordable units to receive the density bonus. So if you have a development of 10, so if you have a development of 10 units, you have to provide by 1. If you choose to give additional units, for each additional unit you get 3. You can get up to 3 market rate unit.
So this one says 2. Again, it's a typo here or something, so the handout says, the example for development with 10, compliance with 10.3 would require 2 affordable units.
Yeah,
But there it
that's a
says
typo.
1 affordable unit.
Yep, 1.
Require 1.
Nice catch.
Right, you're right.
Where is it?
No, on there I'm down here.
Because
It's
that's old math, the 2.
yeah.
This, what we're working on here, is this gonna be a handout for town meeting? This piece,
Yeah, so this will be the final version will be.
this has to be.
Yep.
That on the money.
Yeah, that's exactly. So that's kind of like what we're doing here, and then
Okay.
It's going to have the full text to appear in the warrant.
Yeah.
And it's going to get mailed to every family, every household in town 2 weeks before.
But you're gonna take whatever, somebody's gonna take whatever he gives you and print
You
it
can
out.
also pick up a warrant on the way in.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's see what we got here. So, example, require 1 affordable unit.
Density bonus is on site? Mm-hmm. Even if they own like 2 non-contiguous parcels?
2 affordable units on site, maybe.
Yeah, so the way it would work is typically the way density bonuses work is developers have already met with myself, Alicia. They've already come in to discuss the project and say, well, we can fit this many units. This is what we can do. Typically, they've already built it in to their development, so it's more of they're asking for those additional units. They're stating that, we have these units. These are the affordable units. These are the additional affordable units. These would be the additional market rate units. So the development's already kind of drawn out.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so the original deal has 11 units, 10 units plus the 1, or 10.
10.
I'm sorry, what was that?
The original deal says example, for an development of 10 units,
Yep.
compliance with this section will require 1. So there's still only a total of 10.
Yes,
9.
but one
is
of
affordable
those
and 9 are
market
market.
rate. Yep.
Then the gentleman's or lady says, we're gonna we'd like to put in 2 more, that gets you to 12.
Yep. That's gonna
We'll
be.
give you 6 more, which
Yep.
gets you to the 18.
Yep.
Okay. Parentheses, okay, 3 per additional affordable unit.
Yep.
This,
Wait a minute, wait, whoa, I'm confused. So it wouldn't be, well, if you have 10, one of them has to be, well, if they say to give us 2 more, wouldn't it be 2 of the 10, so 3 of the 10 would now? They would add to the budget. And then they get another 6 for 18?
Right, but they could be 1, they could add 1 and get 3.
yeah.
They don't have to add 2, you're just using 2.
Right,
That's
just
just an
example.
example.
Right.
So if you add
So
1,
like if they just add 1, they're getting an additional 3 units.
so then you'd end up with 14.
14.
But that's not necessarily how it reads. I think Jonathan is right about how the reading goes.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, yeah, I am concerned about
What is
that.
it now?
Say that again?
Well, Janet, Alicia, I'm sorry.
So if you read it, how does it, can you read it again? Because it says if they give you 2 more affordable, that doesn't mean 2 more bonus affordable, 2 more bonus
Right.
units.
No, so-
2 more affordable.
Right.
So you have to read the sentence before that. So for each additional affordable unit over and above the minimum, the
Yeah,
board may approve 3 additional market rate units to
Right.
a maximum density bonus of 75.
Over and above the minimum of the 10 units.
Of the 1 unit.
No, the 1 unit.
Per
one
10,
unit.
1 per 10.
Yes.
Right.
But of the 10 units, over and above, they owe us 1, but they give us 2 more.
Yeah.
Is that of the 10 units? That's a
No.
real question.
It's not.
Well, it's not clear in there.
I guess another way of saying that is they have 18 units. How many are affordable? Yeah, so maybe just making it clear.
So bringing the total development to 18 units and then show the breakdown.
Parentheses, 3
Parentheses,
affordable or
is
15 market rate.
yeah.
And then Nathan had his hand up.
And may I point out, in the underlined section, second sentence, 4 words from the back, the right, the board may approve
Yeah.
3 additional.
It's
Right,
optional.
it's always may, yeah.
So it's not a slam dunk.
Right, it's
Yeah.
always may, yeah.
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 It gives us permission to approve up to 3.
For a development of 10 units, so 10, 9 or market rate. It's
9 or
not
market
11.
rate.
Sure, it's not 10 and plus 1 makes it affordable.
No.
So it's,
You have a lot that
if you do
fits
10, you're only getting 9 market and 1 affordable.
Correct.
Period.
Yeah, 10%.
That's it.
That's
It's more than 10%. I think.
No, it's not. If you have 10, 10% of 10 is
Take 1 away from 10 and divide the rest by 9, the math comes out differently.
Well, no, but that doesn't. That's not
the way it works.
how you do math.
but let's say
That's not how you do math.
15 units.
Where are the
I have a
parentheses? you
degree in
created?
it. I have a degree in math.
If we had 15 units, right?
Yep.
They would be obligated to produce 2.
Then you
Yes,
get
Not
because-
1 per 10.
because 1.5
Exactly,
round
and
up.
0.5 rounds up, so that would be 2 required. So that would be 13 market rate, 2
affordable.
affordable. If they wanted to add more affordable, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right,
They
I
can
just
get
want to be
3
clear,
for
everyone
each-
understands. It's
They
not
can
just
get
1 per
3 for
10.
each affordable they add after that.
Yes.
So if they add 3 affordables, they can get up to 9 more.
Okay.
So we have 18 plus 27 total units, of which more than 10% are
Myself
affordable.
and Alicia are going to be meeting with these people prior to them coming anywhere near.
Okay, Nathan has a question or a comment.
I mean, this is the most significant section, why I think this bylaw is not ready for approval yet. And that's because you can do the math, but the physics, I don't know how the physics work, right? So you have, and let's jump everything up by 10, so it's like the DMG application. You have an applicant who has a property, and they're gonna put in rental units, right? And it can fit 100 units. Then they have to do, but 10 of them have to be affordable. Well, now we jump 20 more, and then we give them 60 on addition to that, right? So you're at 180. You're just like what DMG had, but you just increased a property that fit 100 units by 80 units plus the parking, right? So how physically?
I can
does it
answer
work?
that. I can answer that, may I?
Sure.
Because they'll have that in the initial site plan.
Yeah, we'll have to-
They will show, they have to show the plan that fits all the units as they calculate.
So
But then
why-
they come to us and they justify that number.
Yes.
That's how it happens, Nathan.
That's how it works.
So they initially, when they come to us with the site plan,
Yeah, they have
the
100
drawing already anticipates
180
the
units.
calculations for affordable, the calculations for bonus that they want.
7.
And then they have to justify to us their numbers referencing
Yes.
the law.
Correct. Yeah.
And the
And that's how developers do it. Basically,
Yeah.
they're going to grab they're going to have their property, they're going to read the bylaw, their engineers
Right.
are going to read the bylaws, and they're going to
They'll argue together.
Okay, based on what the bylaw
But what
states.
but in this case, they would have to, that 180 will have to be at 750 square feet?
No, we allow them to not have
That's
to
over.
meet that.
That's over, it's
We
totally,
changed that in the spring.
That's a that was carried over into this bylaw as well.
Did that in the spring.
Yeah.
so they can flex that down.
Okay, so, let me,
So it's still, I mean, the parking is still,
site plan's gonna require much of the whole review anyway.
yeah, but parking will be an unknown.
Parking is done as part of site plan review.
But they may, if they don't go with the original law as it stands today, which is like a unit per bedroom, they'll have to.
Well, it depends on whatever zone they're in, because we have, form-based code is one per, but not in the other zones.
Yeah.
You good? I don't wanna butt in.
Yeah, again, I think that the old law, one of the things the old law said, which we came up a lot with the DMG application, was the term dimensional requirements, right?
That shouldn't apply anymore because we covered that with the spring changes, right?
I'm sorry, say that again?
The,
Dimensional requirements, right? So there's no longer a need for the applicant to pursue dimensional requirement changes.
I don't agree with that statement.
Well, it depends. Dimensional requirements could be anything.
Yeah, it depends on what they're doing.
It depends on and where they are. If they're in the
Yeah.
form-based code, it's prescriptive, so
They have to comply.
They have to comply.
Yeah.
If they're outside of that, they have to meet the dimensional regulations.
Oh, yeah.
that are
If
set.
this was in an OSRD, there'd be a lot more flexibility for them.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So if it's an OSRD, like let's say the Fields project that made, that one.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of flexibility with that. Because of the OSRD application. And that gives the planning board the authority to have flexibility. So this bylaw doesn't give the board flexibility on dimensional regulations, any of that stuff.
Setbacks.
It's only, no setbacks, none
Like
of
a
that.
count
This
thing.
only
This is-
deals with
counts.
inclusionary housing and how it's applied to the project. They still have to meet all the other.
That's right, they have to meet the
The
same.
underlying zoning for that piece of
Yeah.
land.
Exactly.
Everything else is in any regulation.
Right, so that limits the number of things, bonuses they can
units.
ask for depending on the dimensions of the parcels they're working with, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this is what keeps people like Lynn unemployed, right? Figuring this, working it out.
I don't want to cut in, John, Nathan, excuse me. At the very beginning, you've listed the zoning board again.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
this is one section that we would also strike them out.
Okay, we're going to take that out.
Yeah.
So what we're talking about here is the density bonuses always end up as a special permit requirement. They're always, according to what you said here, applicable may grant a special permit.
Yes.
So it's a special permit requirement to get the density bonuses,
Yes.
period.
Yes.
Which is going to require the discussion that you're looking for, because it's a may situation.
Yes.
a Special permit.
Yes.
So it's not a given that they're going to
Yeah,
get
it's
the
not a
density
given,
bonus.
no.
'Cause of
No,
the
it's
fact
not.
that It's limited by the special permit.
Exactly.
And that whole application process and review and so forth.
Yes, they would be submitting for a special permit for the density bonus.
Okay, so I mean, that's
To
good.
the planning board.
I mean, that's
Yes, to
good.
the
Yes.
planning board, yes. So the zoning board section will be, and remember,
And it's not us versus them, guys.
No, no,
It's
no,
just-
no.
No, it's a permitted use.
Yes.
With a special permit
Yeah.
to
Yes.
go with it.
Right, so
Okay, that's
I
good.
mean, remember, they would still handle like chapter 40.
Oh, yeah.
They still handle that type of affordable housing.
And they'll struggle less about this language than I'm only kidding.
So she wrote same thing about the ZBA.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
just
she,
thinking
I think
about
it's, I think
parcels in
it's she. I don't know.
town.
It's Amy
Yep, Amy
Questle.
Questle.
Should be
Okay,
applied.
shouldn't have guessed.
okay.
And what about the reference to 10.34? Is that?
Yeah, that's gonna be 10.33.
Yeah, I just,
You got it? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go through,
So we
I'm
got-
gonna go through a full revision of this, full review, send it back to town council to make sure she's all set with any of the comments, and then
So
based
it's got
on how
proofread at
yeah,
the
so,
end. Okay.
so I think based on how this is, we won't be voting on this tonight. It'll be for the next meeting.
I think I got a problem with the sentence at the end there, which says, "The applicant who agrees." Shouldn't it be the applicant that applies for? Because it's an
The
application
applicant-
for a special permit. So
Second to last sentence starts, it's
Yeah.
in the
Okay, the applicant agrees.
Yeah,
So the applicant who applies for?
the applicant who applies for a special permit under this
Council probably
section.
shouldn't say you.
We cha- I had that.
Got that.
So, if you're thinking, I'm sorry, Jeff, just one thing before I get to you. Will we make the timing if we don't vote on this tonight?
Yes. Our
still have
the
time.
deadline is the 27th. We have a meeting on the 24th.
Okay, I
'Cause we
just want to
still-
make sure of the timing.
Because we
Okay.
also have Shaker Road as a street acceptance, so that has to also be done prior to the 27th.
Okay, thank you.
May I make a suggestion on the language?
Yeah.
The applicant who provides two more.
No, but he's going to apply for it first.
Okay.
Under this, what I'm saying
Yeah,
is
who applies?
the applicant who applies for the special permit under this section.
Yep. Yep.
What was the
So
Churchill say?
is there a density bonus? If I have a lot that fits 180 units, why would I go through this exercise?
You don't have to.
Yeah. Because I'm gonna.
It's a built-in mechanism.
Yeah.
It is affordable, because like basically what you're,
But now that I can go down to 500 square foot studios,
well, they,
why
we have-
would
they
I
have to
apply for
still, it gives, no, the planning board has the authority to allow him to go under
this? Under what?
the 750. That's how we wrote that bylaw, that change.
Okay, so this does imply that dimensional requirements are what the planning board has access to.
I don't understand.
They still have to do 10%.
Yeah.
Right. It's my understanding of this is more of a count than a size.
Yeah, this is a
Count
count.
situation.
It still has to fit.
Yeah.
It's a math problem, it's a word math problem, and I still argue that when it says, so your math problem, if you were looking at it as a word math problem, you'd be looking at it as,
Oh, no, so I agree with you. That's why I'm gonna show a breakdown.
okay.
15
So
market
if
rate
they give-
versus 3 affordable.
But if they give one affordable in their 10% that they require
Yep.
of the 10.
So 9 are market rate, 1
Yes.
affordable.
If they give us two more affordable, why is that still not of the 10?
Because they're additional over it.
You need to put that word in there.
See, but I understand what
I get what
Alicia's
you're
saying. Yeah, I do
get what you're
too.
saying. But
Oh,
then,
I see.
yeah.
You're saying it's within the 10.
That's what I was,
It's not
my
within the
point.
10, it's beyond the 10.
It's beyond the 10 because then you're requiring them to do way more than 10%.
Ah.
Right.
Yes.
And you can't do that. You can't, and we're not doing that.
How we got in trouble with the MBTA, with the
Exactly.
inclusionaries, we
Okay,
required
then
2 in
say
10.
Then they get 2 additional units.
Yep, and that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, you
Now
just get-
I
get
know.
clear on that.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. That was good.
Woo-wee.
Excellent.
Yep.
I would just encourage everybody to do the homework, because if you can fit 180 units
Yeah.
into a lot, and let's say I'm gonna do condos, I'm just gonna sell it all off as condos, and I'm gonna do payment, well, I can't do payment in lieu, 18, so let's go back down to 18.
Yep.
I have a lot that fits 18, and I'm gonna just do payment in lieu.
Yep.
I have a lot that fits 18.
And you can just do the payment and you just do the
So
payment.
you just do the payment.
Sure, but why would I go through this exercise to get density when I already have the density?
You don't have to go through it.
It's to save the money.
It's a special permit.
You wanna
It's built
save the money?
into the process. They're gonna come
You
to
may
me.
never get anybody that does this.
So, excuse
You
me
may
for a
just go
second.
the 10%.
Let me, if I may ask a question. So, the supposition is, I've got a lot I can build 180 units on.
Yeah.
10% have to be,
Yeah.
easy numbers, 18 have to be
18,
affordable.
yeah.
Okay,
160.
I've got a lot over there, I can put 18 units on, that's what you're saying. So I can build 180 and 18 affordables, right? So what you're saying is, you get the bonus of, you get to sell 180 market rate units and provide 18,
Offsite?
That's a little
Okay.
more different.
No, I think, so Nathan, are you saying that basically,
He doesn't
Say-
we need it, period.
no, he doesn't think that we need it. And
I
that's,
don't think we need it, because you you can fit them, right?
Yes, but remember, you have to take into account, so let's say your example, 180 units. They're providing 18. They have to provide more to get additional,
Or what?
more affordable units.
Exactly.
To get the,
To get those, to get the density
bonus.
bonus.
to get to 180?
No, no, no,
Oh.
to get the density bonus.
If they want to get
Because
more.
10% of 180 is 18, so they've met it. They don't need density bonus, because they're not requesting it.
But if they think that they can get.
But if they think they can get more units, then they can.
No, I'm saying your lot fits 180. That's it.
Okay, and
Right.
if they
600.
provide 10%, this doesn't apply to them.
Yeah, they just provide the 10%.
But if they provide
But if my
20
lot-
units,
If my lot only fits 100 units, right? Now I have to do 10 units affordable.
Yeah.
And I want to dense it out even more. I can't dense it out anymore
Right.
because
That's right.
they don't
That's
fit.
right.
That's right.
That's
I just
right.
think I just think that this is
That's right.
irrelevant.
I mean, there's occasions where it doesn't apply, but there's definitely going to be occasions where it does apply.
I don't see them. Yeah.
The other thing is, I think it's important to keep in mind.
So
is that
I can show you.
You have to keep in mind that we're not just talking about multifamily. So if this were to apply to an OSRD with some creative site
Yeah,
planning, you might
exactly.
be able to use the
The
density bonus.
OSRD releases all
You
of
might be able
that.
to figure out a way to put
Right,
a few
'cause
more
the
units in
dimensional
there.
is-
The setbacks, the frontages, they all get
Well,
released.
exactly, right.
And that's where this
this might help
occasion
us there.
would definitely work.
Yeah, okay, so I think we're in agreement that if you're in a large apartment complex, this doesn't make,
It's not,
Yeah, just
they don't
go
have
to
to,
see
they don't have to
if-
submit for
Well,
it. Yeah.
well, let's do DMG. So you gotta write this so that if they go and get a fourth floor, that's increasing their base number that they, within the zoning that was allowed. So that might, so if they go.
So it would
and
still be,
there's
it would still be 10% of their total number of units that they would do.
I still want to apply
Yeah,
for
we
the
still get
density.
10%,
We're
period.
still getting 10% of that.
I understand, but this is like, instead getting a, so when they go beyond the base zoning,
No.
how do you trigger this? So then it
I-
won't.
so I-
get-
They have to apply for it. They have to apply for a special permit.
So we
They may
don't
never
have a-
apply.
No, hold on.
Please.
We don't have a density requirement.
Yeah.
We don't, our zoning does not have a density requirement. That's why this works.
So this one will, it will not trigger very often, we'll
No.
mostly get 10%.
Yeah. Most people aren't gonna choose this. Most people are gonna choose the payment in lieu and not have to do it. Or they're just gonna, if they have 25 units, they're just gonna provide the 10% and they're fine.
Wasn't the main,
I've only seen this one trigger in Salisbury twice.
that's just one last comment. Wasn't one of the main thrusts behind this bonus that if a developer thought he was, this had to do a little bit with some comments I think that Nathan made, was if a developer thought he was going to lose money because he had to supply the affordable,
Yep.
by giving him a bonus on the extra affordables, he might break even by getting money for the affordable rate units, market rate units to
Correct.
cover his losses
Correct.
in the affordable units.
Yeah.
That was part of the concept, I think.
Yep.
We try to develop, entice a way that we could get that extra unit, affordable unit, by saying, look, you'll probably get your money back on the 3 market rate units.
Correct.
That was kind of the concept.
It was a little bit of an-
In a working group, I think we talked about.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an incentive to
kind of
try to
incentivized
get
to get-
more affordable units on site
Right.
because we're going to give them the offset by giving them 3 market rate units. So it kind of
It softens the blow.
It softens the blow, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be triggered.
But only in the context of singles, 2 families and multis in an OSRD.
Could be any, we don't know. We don't know what the land's
We don't know.
gonna
I mean, a developer can find. I can't think of every scenario, but developers will figure it out.
The setbacks are defined,
Yeah.
the lot coverage is defined in A1, A2, it's defined.
Yes.
Right, but there's a process, when we go through the process, they can also apply for variances for
Yeah.
size.
It's like Alicia's example,
heights,
I get
everything.
a 4th story,
Right.
that's now defined,
Right.
I still don't want to go for the bonus.
They don't need the bonuses, they'll just take it.
have to. They can, but they don't have to. It's not a requirement. but there are going to be occasions where
We're speculating, I just want to,
It's in there though.
so what we're saying is, we're not going to vote on this tonight.
No.
Because we're going to
We're
look
gonna
at
do
the
revisions.
finished, revised,
Yep.
proofread revisions, and then we'll vote.
Yes.
But we're going to have to do it the next meeting.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we have okay.
So the next section is section 2.0, which is the definitions.
Sorry.
Yes, Kathleen?
Yep.
Sorry, I have been thinking about what Nathan has been saying, and I guess my question to you, Danny, is would you be able to come back with an example of the density bonus in an OSRD scenario specifically?
I can give you one right now.
Okay,
Yeah, so the Fields project right now, we've been in talks with them about, they want to do, I forget exactly how many units, it's like between 50 and 55 units.
okay.
They're
So
not,
sorry, just to pause there. If they want to do between 50 and 55 units, they're looking at about 5-ish
yep,
affordable.
yes,
Okay.
5-ish, yeah. So if their lot, and based on their lot, they have a huge lot, but a lot of it's going to be open space, and they're not taking full advantage of the size of the lot.
Okay.
They are, because they could probably, based on the calculations, they could probably get almost 100 units.
Okay, so the 50, 55 is what they want to do.
Yeah, it's
but
right around there.
Full build would be 100.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then in this occasion is where this could trigger, where we could give them, they give us, say if they say 5 units is the 10%, if they give us 7 units total, affordable units, they would get 6 more market rate units.
Right. Okay, hang on. Sorry. So let's say they build the 50 units at their base.
Yep.
5 of those are affordable.
Yep.
You're saying they tack on 2 more affordable, which nets out 6 more market rate.
Yes.
And so then we're looking at 56 plus 7.
58.
So you're looking at about 63
Depending on what the
total.
number we use, yes.
And if they, at 63 total units, had just done the 10%, at that
6.
point, they would have had to give you 6 units. So,
So
you
we're still-
maybe net out 1 unit.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's an example where that works. Because like, to Nathan's point, when I was thinking about affordable units in like an apartment complex, like if you have 18 affordable units,
Yep.
that comes from 180 standard one.
Mm-hmm.
The other way to get to 18 affordable units is to build 150. 10% of that is 15.
Mm-hmm.
Tack on 3. Now you have 18. But now you have 162 market rate, which you would never do because you would do the 180 because you'd make more money off.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so
This is why this specific one does not really work for apartment buildings.
and what is it about this scenario that works and it doesn't work in the apartment?
Because the apartment building, you're building on floors, and they're within a defined square box. Whereas
Isn't
in
the whole parking.
Well,
the parking is but parking will come into account
I'm
with
just
site plan
trying to
review.
characterize
Yeah.
like why
Yeah.
it works in
Well-
this scenario and not in the other.
Because
just
of
for my own
because
mental-
an apartment, typically an apartment building, you're building on land. That means you can't build a lot of
Right, so
units.
you go-
So you're building vertically.
Okay.
Whereas in an occasion where you can't build, horizontally, there's a lot more room. That's where those occasions will trigger. It doesn't work vertically because you're building vertically and there's really nowhere else to go, and you're already accounting for
You
whatever your
also
building
have
height
to
is.
choose to build less than the land develops.
Correct. Yes.
Which
Is
is what
another contingent.
Yeah,
That's what his example
which is
is.
why. Yeah, exactly. Which is why typically you won't see this.
Right.
Okay.
There are developers like the one we're dealing with who will choose to develop less than what they can because
Actually,
for whatever reasons they want to.
we have Stratton Hill as an example of
Correct.
that. If Stratton Hill did the math correctly for an
Oh, they
OSRD,
could get-
they could treble the size of that. They don't want
So
to.
there are developers that do build like that, but then there's also developers that are maximize as much as they can.
And then when you get to an apartment, if I may, when you get to an apartment building complex, rarely do you get a 180 unit building in this part of the world.
Yeah.
You get 10 buildings, you get 5 to 7 buildings
I think it's time, okay, if you, I think
because of the height.
if there's.
Can I just get the confirmation? So you're saying it's the condition that this triggers is a developer is in a land scenario where they are not doing the full build.
Correct.
Okay, so that's when we think this comes into play.
And they exist.
They exist.
Yeah, I'm not doubting it. I'm just trying to understand.
Yep.
Where's the Fields property?
Jonathan's really good at reframing, but I hear you in my head, and I could be wrong, but we've just spent an enormous amount of time on a piece that we acknowledge is, what I'm hearing is we acknowledge that it is a rarely used, but it's an option and it could be beneficial to have, which is why it's called a bonus and it's at the end. But the majority of the document that we've just discussed has many applications and will be hopefully, and it seems to be to me, beneficial to both the builder and our town.
Yes.
So I just want to, right, we should be refocused on the I mean, not that we shouldn't focus on every piece, like we wordsmith everything to death, but this is a small piece of the bigger pie, right?
We cannot address every hypothetical scenario that might occur because we'll be
It's
here
impossible.
in the time.
It's impossible. Okay, so the next section is section 2.0, definitions. We've, Jonathan did read this into the, as part of the public notice, but, so I'm not gonna reread them.
Right.
But basically what we're doing is for affordable housing, we are going to be striking Mass Department of Housing and Community Development and reinserting Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities. And then we're adding in a whole new definition for Ayer Affordable Housing Trusts, and we'll make those changes that Ken and Jeff.
I believe it's annual and special.
I am so grateful that I do not have to read the definition of an adult bookstore into the record. Wow. That is
Yes.
some reading, okay.
Oh, yes, that is, that is.
But you, okay. And the purpose of the Ayer Affordable Housing Trust definition is to define what the heck that is.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Correct.
Because it's referred to so many times.
It's referred to and it has to be defined.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, great.
So that's its own proposal. The next one is the MBTA overlay district. So everyone should have a document with the MBTA overlay district from with town council's comments. This is a bylaw that myself, the previous economic and community development director were working on, as well as Alicia, Ken, and Jonathan. No, I mean Charlie has seen this, but he was not really part of it. So this is basically what we're going to be doing here. Is the purposes of the MBTA overlay district is to provide for multifamily housing development or mixed-use development in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 3A, and the compliance guidelines for the multifamily zoning districts under Section 3A of the Zoning Act. The guidelines issued by the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities. So basically what we need to do, since we are an MBTA community, we have a train stop, we need to provide for an MBTA overlay district or a zone that meets the compliance for under the Section 3A of the Zoning Act. We did receive interim compliance in March of 2023, yes, it was before I came. The town did receive interim compliance, meaning that the action plan was submitted and that all of our zones did meet the requirements. From there were some additional tweaks to the law that came out, like the requirement for, you can't require special permits, and it has its own type of development review. So the applicability, so development of land within the MOD may be undertaken subject to the requirements of Section 8.7 or by complying with all the applicable requirements in the underlying district. Developments proceeding under this Section 8.7 shall be governed solely by the provisions herein, and the standards or procedures of the underlying district shall not apply.
If I may, a key sentence here, development of land within the MOD may be undertaken subject to requirements of this section, or, key word here is or, by complying with all the applicable requirements of the underlying. district. This is important because I was confused about, oh my, they're going to have to apply under this or apply in another one, and that determines what which rules apply. So
That's exactly correct.
and that may help you when you're thinking about this, because it can get confusing, because you imagine the map in your head and you go, there's a line, and then there's another line, and then there's a third line. I mean, it goes on and on.
And yeah, so the best way to explain it is you have your underlying district, which has the requirements of the form-based code. Above that, hanging over it, will be the overlay district, which is its own different type of application. So you can choose which one you want to apply for.
Really?
The motivation behind this is that we're required to do this.
Yes.
There's been a decision at a higher level made to do it as an overlay
Yes.
rather than to change the the language of the form-based code district.
Yes.
That's kind of important.
And the reasoning behind that is because of the requirement that you cannot have special permits required.
Right.
That is like one of the
In the overlay.
biggest
Yeah, you can't have
problems, because all of our zones have special permit requirements.
So the great secret here is that if you can do either one. You could come to the planning board under form-based code.
Yep.
But why would you? Because it's so much easier to come under MOD? Okay.
Yes. So the MOD is an easier process in the sense of you're still going to have a site plan, a basic. It's basically going to have a site plan review,
yes. Yeah.
but it's not called site plan review. It's called the MOD development plan approval.
Okay,
And-
one more clarifying. If you come in for the MOD in form-based code,
Yep.
you do have to have a form-based code application, right?
What do you mean by a form-based code application?
I mean, it has to, if you come in under MOD, do you have to comply with the 60% glass and the?
Yeah. So you'll still have. So if you look in here, under section E, the density and dimensional requirements regulations, reference to the building development standards located in sections 10.4 and 10.5, and then I reference all of those sections. They still have to comply with it,
Okay.
but the review process is quicker. There's no special permits required, and it's a there is no denial is not allowed.
Sure.
So it's a process to make it so that we're getting more multifamily housing.
It just takes the hard parts out of the form-based code.
Yeah, and the biggest reason behind what the state is doing is there are towns that use special permits as regulatory to deny projects.
Abusive use.
Yes, it's an abuse of use of the special permit to deny projects. This is to eliminate that, because special permits require a supermajority, and as opposed to the process, which is a simple majority. And special permits also give the board a lot of leeway on what they can deny, whereas in this one does not. And so our two subsections for the overlay district is going to be the West Ayer form-based code, West Ayer Village form-based code, and the Downtown Park Street form-based code. So it's going to be those two sections on West Main Street, and let me just show you right now. So it's going to be right here in yellow, and the red dash line is the overlay.
Can you zoom? Okay, never.
So it's right here. And then, so that's a good note. I'll make sure I have a zoomed in section on the next slide, for the town meeting.
Thank you, sir.
And this section right here, which is the West Ayer Village form-based code. So those are the two areas which are a subsection. They're within, 40% of it is within the 1 mile radius of the MBTA station. All right. And so what does this do? So this bylaw makes it so that there is its own application process specifically for multifamily and mixed-use development that are located within the MBTA multifamily overlay district. The process is called the MOD development plan approval. It is similar to site plan review, but under this process, denial or unreasonable conditions are not allowed. Special permits cannot be required under this section. There are specific requirements referenced within the bylaw that the applicant must comply with, like the affordable housing, off-street parking, other overlay districts, and site development standards. And so the other overlay districts, so the way it would work is like floodplain, aquifer protection. Those are typically special permits, but what we did is so it's written into here that you have to submit the required information in those sections. It's just not a special permit. And then the site development standards, these are the development standards which you'll see on here under section I. So if you look at section I, this has all of the site development standards, basically what is required and what would be reviewed by the board. There's 1 through 11. And so this includes everything from parking, landscaping, plantings, dumpsters, mechanicals, stormwater management, connectivity, parking aisles,
Because I'm looking under section I, as you pointed out, and I look under A, and I see that this language has been changed to the maximum extent possible, the post-construction stormwater, et cetera. Whenever we see to the maximum extent possible, under law, who decides that? Is it the applicant's engineer, or is it DPW, our representative engineer?
So for your which section were you looking
This
at?
is it's subsection
I1.
A to I1.
Yeah, so the
I-10.
reasoning behind that is because under the stormwater management handbooks and bylaw, it says to the maximum extent practical. And the reasoning behind that is because you can't enforce stormwater above and beyond what an applicant
Physical
can,
condition.
Yeah, physical condition, what an applicant can actually do.
And who's the authority that says,
And
that's reasonable?
so that's part of the review from the
Oh,
DPW.
I see. Okay,
The
good.
DPW will review it.
That's what I was looking for.
And if
Okay.
so like in an occasion with 91 Groton Harvard Road,
Okay.
where I felt, well, you're not addressing this kind of stormwater.
Okay. Let's make sure then that the language is consistent so if it's maximum extent possible or practical, whatever we have in the other language, make sure it's the same language here.
Yep.
Thank you.
I noticed that it's blue and underlined to the maximum extent possible there, but not in the other paragraphs. So the same
I
discussion.
think she just added that. That's why. The blue is the
She
added.
added that.
Yeah, she
Okay.
added that. That was one of her
She's
comments.
cool with the use of that language then?
Yes.
Obviously.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So the attorney
She
did that,
did.
town council.
But I still think with the
I'll
other
look at
laws,
it. I'll look at it, yeah.
because she may not know what the other laws look like. We just don't
Correct.
want to create a tension between those.
And so we can kind of go through all,
sorry.
through these sections. No, that's okay. So section E, which is where we first talk about density and dimensional regulations. That's basically all the references to the form-based code and the actual town bylaw, the zoning bylaw, referencing each of the sections that showed what required for the building development standards.
Do you know what's Amy's comment mean? We defer to the town and the town's consultant to review for general law, section 48.
Yeah, that's basically making sure that we're in compliance.
She's not reading all those sections.
Yeah, she's not going to each of those sections.
Oh, that's all that she means.
I did all those.
Okay.
I already reviewed all those sections.
And you've reviewed her comments too about what you
Yeah,
included?
yeah.
not
Well,
included?
so these are the comments that I wanted to go with you
Okay.
through all these with you. So she did strike that under the affordable housing. She says, so this is problematic as section 10.3 requires special permit and EOHLC has flagged similar special permit requirements. So this is where, so any shall comply. So
Wait a minute.
so basically what she's saying is, you can't require them to comply with 10.3 per se. They have to provide 10% of affordable housing.
Period.
Period.
Maximum.
10.3 has so many other provisions within
Exactly.
it, including special permits, which you can't have.
Correct.
And base is 10% affordable
It's
housing.
going to get the 10% anyway.
Is she right? Okay, if when applying the
down.
percentage to the total number of units to determine the number of affordable units,
10%
the number of
shall be-
affordable dwelling units results in a fraction, the number shall be rounded down.
Yeah.
It's less than 10%.
However,
That's how
that's
she-
all,
that's
but
how she-
is that, because remember,
10.3.
10 point, if it's points
Yes,
five?
but that's why. it's-
Use
we're not-
10.3 anymore. That's why she threw it out.
Okay,
why we're
got
not
it,
referencing.
never mind, you're good, you got it.
That's why we're
All
not
right, so
referencing
it's different, we know it's different, and we're,
Yes.
and it has to be different.
Yeah.
Got it, we're good, I got
Yeah,
it.
the intention here is to create.
Oh, of course, because it
Much
can't go over
easier
10%. I get it now. Right, we had this conversation an hour ago. I'm sorry, everybody.
Nope,
Yes,
that's
I get it.
okay.
All right, I get it now. I see it.
Yep.
I'm sorry, it was backwards.
So,
It's okay.
Never mind. Nathan made a comment and I disagree with it, but we were doing a sidebar. It was unfortunate.
all right, so that's affordable housing, that's the requirement that we'd have in there. Same with off-street parking. I did, so she had a comment on the parking.
Yeah.
She said these are not subject to legal review, but we are aware that the planning board, town employed consultant determining compliance with the EOHLC. We did, yeah, that's MRPC, when they reviewed it.
Oh, okay.
So our form-based code calls for 1 per space.
Yeah.
It's what it originally said 1.5, but we asked to try to go down to 1. It seems like she's fine with it as long as it is in compliance, which our form-based code is already in compliance with it.
Or
And you
basically
see
today
her-
is 1 or 1.5
1.
per dwelling unit.
Yeah.
And what do you think about her comment on G5? Restricting parking to the rear of a building was flagged by EOH. We've got to find a way to ELOC.
I read it differently. If you did structured parking in a separate parking garage shall be located at least 20 feet behind the front building line of the multifamily dwellings on the lot. That does not
Where
say
practical.
behind. Yeah, we're
It's a
practical.
chat.
But that does not say it's behind the building.
I missed that.
It's okay, do what you're doing and can I do that or no?
You're gonna have to click on the actual.
Can I do?
No.
Click on this? Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Chat?
Hi, I'm not seeing any comments in the bylaw documents available online. Can it be shared? Oh, it's on there.
Yeah, it's on there.
Can I see that?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just thought it'd help not interrupt us.
We may not have the same, we're not talking about the document that's,
It's on the website.
Yeah.
Where are we?
MBTA, next to
MBTA.
up, man.
They're there.
they're not blue lined.
They're not blue lined, but they're there. I'm looking.
Because the blue is by printer.
Yeah, the blue is by printer.
Got it.
Let me share the screen so that Beth can see. Beth, if you're looking at the document, when you open it up in PDF or download it, it shows comments. They're shown as little bubbles. Our document shows them as writing because it's printed out, but in blue. But the document is shown.
So, yeah, you're on E-density regulations?
Yeah, so let's go through.
Yeah,
I can go
hover
through
over
this.
one of them,
Yeah,
please.
We'll go through all this. All right, so
3, surface parking.
yes, the surface parking structure. So on that one,
Can you hover for a moment, please?
Traffic plan should be
That one.
located outside.
so restricting parking near
Be
the
located.
rear of the building was flagged by EOHLC as possibly setting up a denial as of right use. So basically, what we're saying is the structure didn't separate shall be located at least 20. So the shall be located is the part that she's, I think, referencing. I think if we say
The language in 3 is wrong. Isn't it?
What's interesting is
No,
the
no, no.
bubble's supposed to be on 5, it's not on 3.
Yeah, the bubble's supposed to be on 5.
I think Beth's responding. I know that's not the point of
It
it.
says, well, the one I've got says, oh, that's so
Yeah.
highlighted, but it doesn't, it ends with the word located. Surface parking should be located to the rear side of the principal building and shall be not be located. And that doesn't go beyond that. The word located just ends it.
Oh, yeah, mine just says that too.
Something's missing here.
Mine says the same thing.
She must, maybe she deleted
That just got highlighted. That didn't get changed.
Yeah, what?
That's not changed.
She's selecting it and commenting on it.
No, she isn't. She's the one above she's commenting on. The one parking space. There's no comment to this one.
No, so it's the whole thing. It's 3 through 5.
3 through 5 is commented on with the Norwell comment.
Okay.
On the document on the screen, the bubbles at the beginning of the comment. On our
Either
paper,
way,
it's
the
at the end.
language in number 3 is
Oh no, what happened? I think she hit enter. So I think located within. So 3 and 4 are supposed to be combined. I think she may have just hit enter. by
Oh,
accident.
now I get it.
Yeah.
Sorry
So it
about
should
that.
be only 1, 2,
Yeah.
3, 4. It shouldn't have a 5 at the
I
bottom.
think she just may have hit enter by accident.
But, so,
Put a
all
four-
I
She
need
put a
to-
4 in there by mistake.
Yeah, just hitting.
It does it automatically when you hit enter.
Yeah.
Ken.
I get it, I know, yeah.
So my question is very simple. Is that, are we just going to stick the words where practicable, comma, structured parking, a separate parking garage, et cetera? Okay, and we're just going to do that, okay.
You're going to reformat that to be only 4 bullets.
Yes, Yep, I'll combine those.
Also
So
for
I'll-
3,
Yep. So on 3.
where practical surface parking shall
Yep,
be.
exactly.
Every shall needs to be preceded by a
Yep.
escape clause.
Yes.
Okay,
We're
cool.
practical.
So the
Same, and
concern
then
is
same with
that
5.
even these parking requirements are going to be too restrictive for the as of right.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that definitely doesn't work in a form-based code area, and we have to have the parking behind, in the regular district that's there. I don't
In
think,
the regular district.
yeah, right. So,
But under this, they have to. So our
nobody's
it's
going to
where
want to park
we're
around the front
practical.
anyway.
Remember, it's going to be where practical.
Yeah.
And this is also,
Based on the properties that are actually out there in the West Air Village, you're not going to get parking up front. It's just not going to work. Based on the size of those properties, I've looked at those. It's just not going to work.
Okay, so we're just going to add language with her,
Yeah.
where practicable.
We're practical.
with Stuff like that.
So for number 3 and number 5, I will add, or it's going to be combined, but yes,
Okay,
I'll add
sorry.
where practical. The next is H, overlay districts. No special permits shall be required for section 8.1, aquifer protection overlay district, 8.2, floodplain overlay district within the MOD. The only reason I reference only those two is because those are the two that fall over West Air Village. The downtown Park Street does not have any other overlays over there. The applicant will still be subject to the requirements of the regulations set forth within section 8.1 and 2. It's just not a special permit. Site development standards. So on this section, it says,
make sure they're all in compliance with ELC.
okay, so site development, unless otherwise provided herein, site development shall comply with section 9, section 10.2, 10.4, and 10.5 of the zoning bylaw.
Yeah, this might be problematic.
Provided, however, that the uses are subject to the MOD, may not be denied, no special permit required for the uses MOD. Yeah, that's correct.
So basically, this all, 1 through 10 are discretionary.
Yeah.
1 through 11 discretionary. I mean, in other words, we're going to say to the extent possible, but if they don't, we can't deny. It's,
Provided,
is that, if I understand her language,
Uses subject to the MOD
may
No,
not
no,
be
no.
denied.
No. So I think what she's basically saying is they're discretionary in the sense of you're going to do what you, at most, what you can to get them to comply with those.
Okay.
You can't deny it because they couldn't fully comply with some sort of thing within those that you guys want. That they can't comply with. You know what I mean?
I got no problem with it.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with it. All right. And so these are all the sections that fall in there.
Yep.
And then the MOD development approval, it's basically,
You're on J now?
yep, J. So that's basically just the process on how it works and applying for it and the time frames and who reviews it, who doesn't review it, and all of that. And then she did have a comment, do these exist in multifamily overlay rules and regulations? So we don't have them yet, but we have a section under here that says the board may enact rules and regulations to effectuate the purposes of the development approval plan. So basically, if we want to provide with
Okay.
rules and regulations later on, they would fall under J.
But it's okay to have that language there now, even though we
Yes,
don't
we
have
want
it?
them
Okay,
there.
all right, even though we don't have them
Even though
yet?
we don't have
Okay,
it.
that's,
Because that way, we don't have to go back to town meeting to amend those. rules and regulations, the board has to just have a public hearing.
Oh, boy. So is this another one where you want to vote on it next meeting?
Yes, yes.
You'll have the cleaned
I'll
up
get the cleaned up
document,
version for everyone to
and
look
you're
at.
going to make sure appropriate people will review it before we get to it.
Exactly.
So it's going to be
Yep, and
Tight.
then the last item is just the zoning map, which
Excuse me.
we've already reviewed, but I just want to show everybody again. The changes are the overlay district over the downtown Park Street form-based code and the West Air Village. It's been added down here as a zoning overlay, MBTA multifamily.
So
simple enough.
the only quick, I'm good with everything. Thank you for all your work there. My question was on what was given out and what was read in the advertisement. Was the layout of the articles of what's going to be the this one's got the map first, or the discussion
So
was
I
first.
don't, the select board will make the determination on what the number of the articles are.
Okay.
We
so-
don't.
Well, I mean, I would suggest that the map is last, I guess, obviously.
Yeah, I don't know. They
Should make a
They
suggestion
make those
to the
determinations. I can suggest it.
You don't want to vote on the map before you approve the district, right?
No, you're correct. I agree with you. It should be at the end.
Logic there.
But I don't make that determination, but
I
I
would
will.
recommend you
Yes.
make a
Where
suggestion.
would the town be without you, Mr. Disc? Yes.
Not me,
Yes.
it's just
I
makes
get
sense,
it.
you know?
I get it.
Right.
There
Oh,
is
we
a
need a
question.
continuance.
Okay, hold on. I suggest the proposed changes on the map be called out clearly in the public views. I will do that, Beth. I'll make sure that each section is called out, just like I did at the previous town meeting. And just show each section up close so that we can see them.
Yeah, and we actually discussed this before Beth joined us, I think.
Yep.
So for this, since we are going to vote on these the next meeting, do we need a continuance
Yes.
of this public hearing until the next meeting?
That is correct.
So we need a motion for how do I describe? I make a motion for the continuance of the discussion, deliberation, the proposed zoning amendments as discussed this evening to our next meeting on September 24th.
Second.
Any discussion?
So you'll be giving us clean copies of this?
Yes. Yeah, I should, these
Week or so
changes are pretty
before, some
quick.
kind of
Yeah,
time.
I should get these done within a couple days.
And, yes.
Any further? Oh, sorry.
When we get to that last meeting, we would prefer not to have to make any amendments at that point. in time.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, that's
We would
correct.
prefer not to because
To
it
the
gets complicated.
language.
The MBTA one has to go.
If you have
Yeah,
comments.
yes, yeah, I got
The
it.
MBTA one has to go through this year.
Yes.
Well, they're gonna go through, but it's just,
Well, it's important that we impress upon the town folk at the town meeting that what lies in the balance of the MBTA not being approved
Right.
is our grant funding.
yeah, people get that.
Yes, I'm going to have Alicia, I've spoken with Alicia about this. I'm going to have a list of grants that we get. Like we received the Mass Work grant for West Main Street, the CDBG grant that we get. She has another senior a grant that she gets. Like there's the senior center grant that we received.
lots
So
of
there's a
grants.
lot of grants that we get that we would lose the ability of applying for.
We're not gonna lose that, we're gonna get it done.
All right, so we have a motion on the table.
Seconded.
It's seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Ken?
Yes,
Julie?
Yes.
Nathan?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Chair says aye. So we'll continue this. And that brings us to projects. We don't have any meeting minutes this week.
No meeting minutes.
So we have the project status update.
Yes. There's really not much for a project status update.
I do have a question.
Okay.
I noticed today, I was on Central Avenue driving by, and the the one on the left that we approved a couple of years ago, the 6, what are they called, townhouses or row houses next to each other?
no, there's
7.
four.
There's 7, and then there's one that has
So the
4.
one that I think that has 7, the rain garden has been ripped out and replaced by some other structure, and I guess it's not our purview as the building commissioner, but I do want to draw the attention that something's been modified there, and I don't remember anyone coming to the planning board to discuss modifications.
Rain garden,
There was some sort of stormwater something or
there's
other
a
up
detention
there.
basin in the
A
front.
whatever that was, rain
It
garden,
was
detention
before us.
basin, something there.
Before this board, no.
That we approved, and now it's been filled in, and there's mulch and like a little, like a riprap channel, but it's not at all what was originally there, and it's not what we saw in the design. So I just need to bring attention to that.
Do you know what the address of that process?
What the hell is that on Central Ave?
Is it just before the stop sign, that four-way intersection?
It's before.
No.
It's across the street from the trucking place, right?
The one we approved was 4 units.
There's another one that had
There's
7
another
units.
one.
Yeah.
I know that, but that was before many members that were on this board. Was before we did inclusionary housing. It was before everything.
Yes. However,
It was the first one that had
However-
7. The second one has, what we did was 4.
Yeah.
With a site visit and everything else.
Okay.
now I think.
So not the one with the 4, but you're talking about the...
I'm pretty sure it's the one with the 7. It's the white, yes.
Yes.
I believe, which...
The
yeah.
trucking company one is the 4.
Okay, so it's not the one across from the truck, but I'm sorry I don't have the address.
No, that's okay.
It's the
That's
row
okay.
of 7.
Okay,
Please
so
take a look at the
I'll talk
front.
to Charlie about this.
Yeah, all right,
I'll
thank
let
you.
him know.
All right.
Because if they're making changes, they're not allowed to.
No, I didn't think so, and I just wanted to draw
Yep.
attention to it. We have a sidewalk, 0 Scully Road, that's Saturday at 8 a.m. So we kind of pull in there, and it's then to the right near the landscaping? Is that where that is? I'm trying to think where the...
So if you're going up Scully Road,
Yeah.
you're gonna go up to, it's the property just before the Shepley Hill Gate.
Oh,
Right next
all
to
the way there. Okay, so you bear right.
Yeah, you bear right.
Okay.
Just before you get to
All
Nemco? No, that's not Nemco.
Before you get to the...
Molamco.
Near the Shepley
Sure.
Hill thingy that we walk
Yep.
right by there.
It's the
Okay.
property just before the gate.
Right next to Shipley Hill.
Yeah, right next to Shepley.
Directly next to it.
48.
Okay.
Yep.
No, I know, I just...
You just didn't know it was that close.
I mean, I'm thinking about it now and go, wow.
Yep.
That's awfully close.
It's
to
very
that
close.
Arsenic control
Yes.
thingy.
Yes.
Okay. That's not up to us. That's up
Yes, so Saturday, I will let you guys know if it's off or not, but it should be on, because conservation is planned, or is to be going out there. So I will have I'll have a agenda posted for you guys to go out there.
Beautiful. All right. Anything else on updates?
Nothing else really going on. I mean, most of the projects we talked about, that we've already really talked about right now.
Great.
Actually, I can give you an update. So 91 Groton Harvard Road.
Yeah,
They, based on discussion, the timing and based on how much work they're doing with other, their actual company job, they don't think they're going to be doing anything this year. So most likely it's going to be holding off until spring before they start construction out there.
and everything will fall within any expirations?
Yeah, no. So they have 2 years to before
2 years?
to act on their site plan review.
Okay.
So it's they have time.
All right. All right.
Anything else that anyone has questions on?
Motion to adjourn?
So
Moved. Have a wonderful evening. Oh, I just want to make a comment. I really appreciate all the contributions the board made tonight. There were some complicated questions and issues that came up, but many of you raised, and I want to thank you for that, that made this a very vigorous, robust conversation and deliberation. Thank you.
You're welcome.